Hey everybody! This is Death by D4, and welcome to my guide on how to play as the Moon Druid subclass in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. There's a lot to go over, so be sure to subscribe and let's dive right on in. When you take the subclass at 2nd level, you get Combat Wild Shape, which allows you to use your Wild Shape feature as a bonus action. Additionally, while in your Wild Shape form, you can use a spell slot to regain hit points for yourself, regaining 1d8 hit points per the spell slot's level. Honestly, despite how useful this feature is, it's definitely more of a convenience than anything else. After all, being able to use your Wild Shape as a bonus action just allows you to make proper use of it on the same turn when you use it during combat. And being able to heal yourself is quite nice, but no amount of healing that you can give yourself is ever going to compete with the selection of druid spells made available to you. However, where this feature becomes a tad bit busted is when you reach 20th level and gain access to Arc Druid, as that then gives you unlimited uses of your Wild Shape feature. By utilizing both your action and your bonus action on the same turn, you can refresh whatever Wild Shape form that you've taken on, completely restoring all of your missing hit points. Yes, this technically consumes your entire turn in order to do this, but if you're able to tank damage for longer than one turn, then you're just basically immortal. However, don't take this subclass if that's all you're interested in, as it will require you to get to 20th level in order to actually achieve this level of stupidity. And quite frankly, every class is a bit stupid when it reaches 20th level. Anyway, concerning this feature in general, it's a pretty nice one to have still. Not one that I would get all that excited over, but a very nice convenience to have to make good use of your Wild Shape feature. Oh yeah, you also get Circle forms at 2nd level, which expands the range of your creatures available to you for your Wild Shape forms. When you get this, you gain the ability to Wild Shape into beasts of CR1, and once you reach 6th level, you can then Wild Shape into beasts of CR rating equal to 1/3 of your Druid's level rounded down. Okay, so this is honestly what I consider to be the subclass's defining feature, as it just seriously expands the overall use of your Wild Shape feature. After all, not only does it massively increase the number of beasts available to you, but some of the options available to you are just remarkable as well. You get giant animals, dinosaurs, and a goddamn woolly mammoth. And all of these can offer you a substantial amount of versatility and tankiness to what's otherwise a pretty limited base class feature. That and, if you combine this with Combat Wild Shape and Arc Druid, then you really start to become an immortal character. Not only that, but you'll eventually gain the ability to cast spells while in your Wild Shape form as well, which is just a terrifying combo to try and conceive of. So yeah, this is just an amazing feature for you to get, and one that easily takes a rather dull base class feature and then just dials up to something that's truly awesome. So make sure you take full advantage of it whenever possible. At 6th level, you get Primal Strike, which makes all of your Wild Shape attacks magical for the purposes of overcoming damage resistance and immunities to non-magical attacks. Definitely a really nice feature for you to get, especially since it helps you get around immunities as well as resistances. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. At 10th level, you get Elemental Wild Shape, which allows you to expend 2 uses of your Wild Shape feature to transform into an air, earth, fire, or water elemental. Though the cost of doing this is quite steep, there's no denying that these elemental forms can offer you quite a lot more power and utility compared to your traditional bestial forms. After all, the air elemental can fly around and knock enemies prone, the earth elemental can move through the earth and deal double damage to objects and structures, the fire elemental can create light and set enemies on fire, and the water elemental can grapple and restrain multiple creatures at once. Oh, and remember that all of these elemental forms also come equipped with a whole bunch of different damage resistances and immunities, though you'll also have to pay attention to their damage vulnerabilities and susceptibilities whenever they pop up. Either way, if you can afford it, be sure to take full advantage of this feature whenever appropriate, as it could really help dial up the power and utility of your combat outside of your traditional Wild Shape forms. Finally, at 14th level, you get Thousand Forms, which allows you to cast the Alter Self spell at will. Though the mechanical uses of the Alter Self spell are a bit limited overall, its utility should never be understated, as it not only allows you to adapt your body easily for underwater environments, but you can use this spell to shapeshift yourself into another person, basically making you into a bona fide changeling. This is just absurd. After all, you don't need me to tell you just how useful it is to be able to mimic the appearance of another person, as that can allow you to get away with just so much during any D&D campaign. Yes, it does still require your concentration, but that's pretty minor overall if this is what you're planning on using it for. Definitely a really awesome feature for you to get, though one that I'll argue is pretty underwhelming as a capstone feature for this particular subclass. It certainly isn't bad, of course, but I do find that it's a bit difficult to get excited over this when it's so late in your character's progression. Alright, so that does it for all the subclass features. Now on to just a few of my own personal recommendations concerning it. This should go without saying, but the entire basis of this subclass revolves around you making use of your wild shape feature, so just make sure that you're doing this whenever possible. That said, until you reach 20th level, you should always make sure that your character's properly rested as well, or else you might end up in a situation where you won't be able to make use of your wild shape feature. Either way, just understand that if you are not using your wild shape, then you might as well be playing as another druid subclass, because you'll otherwise be gaining absolutely no value from it. That, and trust me, this is one of the strongest druid subclasses in the game, so you would just be insanely foolish not to use it. Also, in terms of casting spells, remember that you can always maintain concentration on a spell while in your wild shape form. Not only that, but since you adopt the physical statistics of whatever creature you change into, you may even be able to maintain concentration on it better while in your wild shape form, so that's pretty nice. Of course, once you gain the ability to cast spells in your wild shape form, remembering to set this up beforehand becomes less of an issue. But that feature doesn't come out until much later, so it's best to get in the habit of doing it regardless. Oh, and speaking of your character statistics, since you'll be shapeshifting quite often during combat, you might as well just forego investing much of anything into your strength, dexterity, and constitution scores, since all of those are always going to change to reflect the wild shape form that you take on. Of course, your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores will always remain untouched, so feel free to pump up those stats however you see fit, especially with your wisdom score, as that is of course your spellcasting modifier after all. And that's it. If you liked the video, then be sure to subscribe and let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you'd like to have the chance to play D&D with me, then feel free to join my Discord server, and consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next video.